like what they value. And I think the key components that you'll see, there's a saying I really like that good teams need to learn to not make mistakes, and great teams need to learn to make plays. And there are really only like two or three great teams in Dota right now. I think pretty much everyone else should be focusing on how to limit their mistakes. And the big ones that I kind of touched on that Liquid isn't making are fighting. There's this window, like the vision window. You want to take fights in as little time as possible from when you're showing to when you're engaged.
Hmm.
And you never want to put yourself in a position where they will gain vision advantage over you. So they're never running up high grounds blindly. They're always making sure to place high ground wards either during or before team fights. And you never want to take fights with gold on your heroes. That's partly due to how reliable and unreliable gold works. If you die with no gold to spend, it's sort of like mm, it's like giving your team a bonus kill just based on the gold you save. Gold lost is, I believe, net worth divided by 40 plus 50. And as an example, if you're some super farmed carry, it's like 25 minutes into the game, you have 20k net worth. If you die, that's going to be like a whole fuck ton of gold you're going to lose. It's
Hmm.
that would be 550. So you're going to lose 550 of that gold you're saving. Like there's no interest collected. You can't go buy gold with it. Like it's just sitting there. When you die, you lose it. Now you've bought back. Now you have gold penalty even if you win this team fight. So it's nearly almost always better to just spend your cash.
Right.
But yeah, and you just don't see them make those mistakes. They're buying the right items. They played in the right hero pairings. Like they just know what they're doing. Like they're the
So
best team in the world.
So what would you say the priority is? You said they're like the difference in teams, right? So what would be the priority that Liquid takes?
What do you mean priority?
I mean, you said that they're like when you're watching these teams, it's more about like they just focus on like there's individual flair, right? To each
Hmm.
one of these teams, and each one of them has something that they focus a little bit more on.
Hmm. Um, I'm not sure. I think I mean, are you asking like who they play around or like what each player individually is focusing on?
Hey, who they play around? I mean,
I think it varies from game to game. I think
okay.
Liquid does a very good job of recognizing like who needs to play around who. But I think a lot of the time it's GH and Kuro with Matamba Man and Mind Control playing with Miracle. I think that that's kind of like their go-to combination a lot of the time is like a default, but they do a very good job of recognizing who needs to be where. Um, so if you want to go into the drafts, like I don't think breaking down these games is super useful because I think Liquid was in a near impossible situation in both games.
Yeah, sure.
The bans changed slightly. Liquid chose to ban Sand King, Rubik Lone Druid, and they did not ban Bounty Hunter. And Secret responds by guess what they do.
Picking up that bounty hunter. It
Hmm.
seems like I've heard a lot of people talk about bounty hunter, and they think that that hero is just one of the like kind of OP heroes of the patch. Can you explain why?
Six starting armor, PMS being removed, and very high base damage. In addition, killing a courier before the 10-minute mark yields about three times as much gold to your entire team as a hero kill would. So, like when we played Secret on stage at Shanghai Major or yeah, Perfect World Masters, he literally just killed four couriers in the game. He was hunting them. That was his
Hmm.
job. And in addition, it's the same reason I feel like Alchemist was always a strong pick previously. Any hero that can manufacture more gold than can be actually gained from the map, you're getting more gold out of normal Dota situations is going to be very powerful when teams are evenly matched because you will gain advantage that they cannot possibly achieve.
Okay.
I think that they were fine giving away the bounty because the IO tiny, and I think IO is one of your best bounty counters because you don't allow him to roam as effectively, and bounty hunter's damage output is kind of static, so IO can sort of just heal through it, and the team fight from IO tiny is very strong, whereas obviously bounty doesn't really provide much other than some light vision and if you get five tracks up, a bunch of damage. But they picked the brew to compensate. They banned the Omni, they banned the Tide again Viper banned here. The bands aren't really as important in my eyes as what they pick. Do, 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 do. I just think this was more. I wouldn't say this was like an outdraft. I think the game three is Liquid drafting themselves into a hole. I think this is just a very smart lineup from Puppy, and we actually lost to something very similar to this when we played them at Perfect Worlds as well.
So
So they
it
bent.
like the I know you said they aren't as important, but like puck tide, when you got this bounty hunter, right? Like one of the biggest things you make sure you just don't like the enemy team just doesn't have a shit ton of team fight and like just
Mhm.
runs you over.
Yep, exactly. And they picked the Brew, which is kind of like the trump card for
Yeah,
team
he's like
fighting
the
right
ultimate
now.
team fight hero, right? If
Yep,
Omni's
exactly.
out of the pool, then Brewmaster's got to be the best.
Yep. I think Tide and Brew are probably tied,
Mm.
and you really don't want to give away Tiny Tidehunter. That's so like you're tossing back into a potential Ravage threat. Like it's really
Yeah.
hard to deal with. Liquid loves this Kuro Tusk. They play it a lot with the Wisp. It's very strong, but and it's also very good to like hunt this bounty hunter. But I think this locks them into what they have to do with their draft now, where they no longer can pick cores that are reliant on supports. They need to now have like you'll see with their next pick, but they end up going with a Doom. There's a Witch Doctor from Team Secret, which I really like. I think it's a very strong counter to the Wisp Tiny. If you land Maledict on Wisp, he can no longer heal or regenerate anyone, and it's obviously very powerful because, believe it or not, we tested this. The way it works with Tiny's status resist is that Maledict will actually just tick faster. It still deals damage every single tick, even when you get up to 4 ticks. They'll just take place over like 6 seconds instead of 12.
Mm. That's pretty
So,
interesting. So
mhm.
like technically it could be less damage because you get less time to lay in the damage, but most situations it's actually beneficial, right, for the Maledict to
Correct.
be faster.
At the very least, the amount of damage it does to Tiny isn't reduced like perpetually. In
Right.
theory, it might do less, but unlike nearly every other, stun, it actually still does its full effect and adds a little bit of team fight. And it's a very strong hero with Bounty Hunter because you're fine now blowing all of your cooldowns to kill one person because you're all going to get bonus gold from it.
Hmm.
Doom's
So
picked up.
you're saying they have to pick up like super like they have to pick up self-sufficient cores, is that what you were saying for Liquid?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Because you,
they
you
want
can't
to
play
be able
with
to run
Tusk.
around with this tusk, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can't like lane as Tusk. You're just running around.
Yeah.
So Doom is like your brew counter, but I think it's incredibly weak against Bounty Hunter. And it's pretty weak against Witch Doctor to an extent, just again because of the Maledict.
Sure.
These really tanky, regen heavy cores are kind of just owned when you get Maledicted.
That was why Team Secret was picking it up like 1-2, like back when
Hmm.
they were owning the European qualifiers. It's like
Yep.
tank was the name of the game. So
Yep. It's just a super strong spell. It's one of the only things that isn't removed by strong dispels nowadays. And when everyone's picking strength heroes, it's just super good. Um, Secret takes a lot of time with this pick, but I like what they went with. It's going to be a life stealer. Has a really great matchup against all of these heroes. Has a natural infest partner, and they really just need this raw physical damage output now, and that's going to help them a lot. It lanes very well against Doom. It's a great counterpart to complement to the Witch Doctor in lane, and it just sets up kills like all game.
it's got to be better against Tiny than it used to be, right? You can't get tossed. He's now
Yep,
like he starts with no armor. Even if he gets armor over time, like at least he's
yep.
pretty susceptible to it early.
Yep, I think their answers to Tiny were much better this game. They have two heroes that are doing max HP or HP lost bonus damage,
Hmm.
and they also have just more team fight. I think that was really what was lacking in that previous game. They didn't have many stuns, and they didn't have many people that could start fights. Whereas now, like Bounty can give you vision, Bruise blinking in, a cast comes out, Life Stealer's inside of somebody, and you're getting this fight going. And there isn't real damage output from Io, Tusk, or Doom. So Liquid's in kind of a hole already where this last hero has to just spit damage out. Like it has to do so much in this draft now. And I really liked Secret's last pick. They again beat us with this already, this exact tri-core setup where they pick a Leshrac middle and then roam the shit out of mid with the Bounty and the Witch Doctor. And it's very hard to deal with because he's just spamming lightning from a billion units away. Bounty is slowing you, you're stunned again, you're dead. And you're in this hole where I actually don't know what Liquid can pick here that wins them this draft. Because, and again, like neither one of these cores cares about Doom either. You Doom a Lesh after he casts Edict with his ult up, he's running in, he doesn't care. If Brew gets his ult off, he's no longer like something you can Doom. You don't want to Doom Bounty or Life Stealer for the same reasons. Like they just kind of hit you or they run
Yeah.
away, they don't care. and none of these heroes really do that any damage. So all Secret has to do is win a couple fights, survive the lanes, and then just start fighting because they have track and they just won't die. So yeah.
Leshrac kind of seems like the older Lina, where it's just kind of like a kill hero for you that just like goes out and hunts now.
Yep. I really like it. It's probably my favorite and best hero, and I think it's super strong right now. I definitely want to pick it more. It just feels good to play as well. Yeah.
So, what about the last pick? I actually thought they were going to pick Dusa again when I first saw this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Invoker was just the best possible pick they had for it?
I feel like they're trapped. I don't actually know what they should pick here. I feel like you could pick a lot of things, but I don't think any of them are going to feel good.
Okay.
Like if it's like a bristleback Medusa type hero, it's going to get mischanced and it's going to get thrown up in the air. If it's like a storm, I think he just gets dumpstered in the lane and Secret hits a timing and just pushes too quickly. And you can't pick certain heroes, like you can't pick Slark or PL or any like TA type heroes, like these versatile in-out types, because you just don't have damage then, and you can no longer take team fights. So I don't mind the Invoker. I just don't think it can do much for them. And Bounty does this really cool thing. He pulls this bottom wave a couple times. That gives Fada a game, and then they just continue running it middle all game. And Doom just gets owned by Lifestealer 1v1. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in this game.
Yeah.
So now they're free to like this is beautiful because you play the Witch Brew. This is an insane lane against Tiny because again, if you maledict him, like he's a strength hero, he hates that. And now the Bounty can freely roam Courier, which is Bounty wants to play this area of the map forever. So if you have a favorable 1v1, you're just winning the game already because now you have a favorable 4-on-4 in this area because you have more mobility. And you're winning this 1v1 hard. So
Yeah,
Secret can just chill.
Nothing feels worse than a bounty hunter having to secure your safe lane. You know, like sometimes you have to do it, but it's just like I would much rather be doing so many other things.
Yep. Just the threat of you on this side of the map is really nice.
Yeah.
So like here you go. This is like Leshrac just lives, and this is why bounty 6 armor. 6 armor.
I forgot about the poor man shield thing as well because that really ups the bounty hunter's harassment game.
Yep.
As like a lane
buy
winner.
a PMS. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't think about that ever. That's cool.
Yep. There's a lot of these little changes that just like fuck with everything in Dota, but you know that's why we love the game. But yeah, like there isn't really much to say about this one. Secret kind of won.
Want to go into game 3.
Yeah, like Secret just wins all the lanes really hard, and then they have better team fight and they have bounty hunter. So like even though the game gets like it's still even, it's liquid, it's hard, but you can't deal with this hero now. I also love that Ace went treads because he's expecting to get doomed. You're playing against Sigil, and you just want to hit this Tiny as much as possible. I just really like the choice. This is where the game was kind of won. They whiffed the Sunstrike, unfortunately. I believe he dies anyway, but they get a kill on GH. They get a kill on Matumba Man, and yeah, it doesn't really matter. And if you skip ahead just a little bit, like it's wow, that was okay, weird. Do the last draft real quick.
You think a Secret? I mean, they seem so damn good right now. You think they're just gonna win it all?
I think they might. I think their drafting improved as the series went on, and I think that's a really big deal when you're playing in this caliber of event. I really like their changes in bans and openers, and every game, all 3 games, they used different duo openers. They did not use a single hero more than once. And it is very hard to prepare against that. They picked 15 heroes over 3 games.
Damn.
Yeah, and that is the mark of a very strong Dota 2 team. Liquid, they choose to ban Bounty this game. They don't ban the Rubik, and they pick it for themselves. I'm always scared to do that, and part of the reason I would prefer to ban it in games like this is like I feel like you never want to first pick a hero the enemy team loves because they're going to understand it well. And I think if any team loves Rubik, it's going to be Team Secret. I'm sure Yapzor would play that every game if he was given it. And this gives them a really sick opener, in my opinion, in Bane Elder Titan, which you're going to see in a moment. It took him a while to think of it, but the Bane is sick. It seems counterintuitive because Rubik can always steal grip,
Yeah.
but Bane has like 5 more armor and 15 more damage. So as soon as you pick Bane ET, there is no hero in Dota Liquid can pick that gives them a win in the support category. It is
Right.
not possible.
So
Um,
they could just run anything they want, kind of aggro, and most likely they can win,
yeah,
either mid
they can put.
or off lane.
Mhm. They will always win even matchups, if that makes sense. So if there's
Yeah.
a Bane +1 mid, they'll beat the Rubik +1 mid. The same for the ET +1 off lane.
Right.
And this is where um, I get the idea behind what Liquid's trying to do. They pick Ogre, and they do it because they're trying to salvage the lanes. It's also just very strong. But I look at these two heroes, and I think to myself, they don't do any damage, and they're not going to win the lanes. These
No.
heroes, lots of control, lots of lane dominance. I'm very afraid. And Secret sort of understands this immediately, and they double down on this concept. They already have Razor in mind, I'm sure, because they banned Storm, and I don't remember what they ban. It's just, we'll figure it out in a second.
Okay. So, but surely that can't be just like an auto
Weaver.
win combo, right? Like just because you win lanes doesn't mean doesn't mean you're gonna win the game outright.
Correct. I think the draft is still salvageable, but
Okay.
so you see right here, Brew is banned by Liquid, Weaver Storm banned by Secret. They ban these heroes because they're planning on picking Razor, which is what they do. They're very low on time. Also, they go like right. No, I'm sorry, they had 20 bonus. But now I look at this and you think, how do you win the lanes? How do you do anything to this Razor when you have Rubik Ogre? And the heroes you would want to pick are like Storm, Weaver, heroes that can split up the map, abuse the fact that Bane and ET don't have real lockdown. They
Right.
kind of have static lockdown. So if you're mobile and playing around the map, they're going to just chase you. Um, but now you have a Razor. So this hero is not only a solo lane dominator, but he would benefit from the Ogre Bloodlust, and he just dumpsters these heroes. He also is one of the few things that actually dispels Ogre's Bloodlust. Diffusal no longer does so, which is another reason this hero is so popular nowadays.
Mm.
You cannot get rid of Bloodlust, and it's a pain in the ass. To keep going, this is the pick that I think just kind of seals Liquid's fate. You cannot pick Morphling into Bane Elder Titan. You just can't. It's the same concept as like this Stormweaver hero, but
Yeah.
it just gets destroyed. And
Pure damage and taking away the armor, the natural armor, and everything. Just
and so low damage too. Like these three heroes versus these three heroes in a lane, in the mid game, in the late game. How do you fight this ever with
yeah.
like 3-on-3?
You could already tell 25 minutes like you're just getting run over all game
Yep.
long.
Yep. And this pick from Secret I thought was very strong as well. They just pick a Legion commander. Again, lane dominator, fills this hole in their draft where they don't have like real catch, but they have a lot to set up. And they have a lot to provide vision, and they have very strong laners. So LC is one of those heroes that if you have a good game, you just take the game over. And that's the style they're trying to run here. Because Morphling insinuates that this is going to be a slow game from Liquid, and they're now just saying, no, we're all in. We're going to play fast. We're going to continue and invest gold into cheap items, into bigger items, into objectives, into taking the game.
Mm.
So, whoops. Okay, we lost hero portraits, but whatever. And they go Quap, and it's because like they kind of feel pressured. They're also very low on time here, and they recognize they cannot fight these heroes ever.
The
It's
mobile,
impossible.
yeah, the mobile shove out waves, what you were
Mhm.
talking about earlier, right?
Yep. But it's a Quap now into a Legion commander. He still dies to grip. It's good matchups in theory against the supports, but he's still dead if he catches a spell. He still has to blink the link. He still dies to duel, and it's just a weak hero. All of these heroes are weak and squishy and food for the very powerful Liquid lineup. And again, Liquid was also, or sorry, very powerful Secret lineup. Their last pick's a Monkey King, and I think Secret they just picked this SF, and I'm just like, you look at these lineups, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about the laning stage, huge win for Secret. You think about which team can push out waves faster and more efficiently, that's Secret. Who's going to win team fights in the mid game? Secret. Who has an easier time killing Roche? Secret. Liquid can't even farm Ancients to like get some sort of advantage. I think that's the big benefit of having an Ogre on your team is like you saw EG do it. They just buffed their gyrocopter. He flacked. He continued to flack. Eventually, he had $1 billion net worth. They won the game. Um,
okay, so if Bane ET is such a strong opening, like what should we be doing against it? Like, okay, they're lane dominators. Like the enemy team is getting lane domination. Like besides the mobile, which they did manage to draft, right? Maybe if Morphling isn't
yeah.
good against ET Bane, sure that's something. But they have Quap, they have Monkey King. Like those heroes are really mobile. They shove out waves really well. Like
Hmm.
what else should they have done? Should they have just like not tried to contest that laning phase? Like don't pick up the ogre, like pick up a some sort of like 4 position like playmaking kind of hero or something.
I think they could have gone for like a brewmaster. They needed some way to win fights.
Okay.
Bane and ET are very susceptible to illusions, to creeps, to stuff. You want to throw stuff at them, and you
Okay.
want to be able to get on top of them. Heroes like Razor are very effective. You need to be able to run at them. If you allow ET to just kind of chill in the back line waiting for a stomp, he'll eventually get one. The same with Bane. If they get off all their spells on their priority targets, you cannot beat them. And that's part of the reason they picked this Razor LC. They're just going to run in, and then you have mid one Shadow Fiend, which is probably one of the best 3, maybe even best in the world. And you just play Dotes, and that's what they ended up doing. Like, I'm just gonna,
So
you
to
can see,
simplify the like sort of rock paper scissors or whatever, it's like if they're gonna focus so much on laning phase, you have to at least have better team fight than them.
yeah, pretty much. It's not even a. I feel like that's kind of almost oversimplifying it. I
Hmm.
don't know if it's really better team fight, but it's more you need heroes that deal with those heroes. Like they even get first blood, it just doesn't even matter. Like this fucking briefcase, dude, is just crazy. It's not even. It's like a goblet now, but like kill is
Yeah.
nice and all, but this top lane was empty that whole time,
Hmm.
and there's like it's just grim. We can actually skip ahead, and you look at the laning phase. It's already over. Skip
Having
ahead
to
even more. Look at this. How do you win a game from this position?
yeah. I've heard it a number of times. If like you win all 3 lanes, it's like the right now Dota's like pretty much halfway won.
Yeah. We can end with this clip. This is perfect timing because this is some good shit. Also, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to bring that up. This is probably what you want to do though, but don't tell anybody in North America.
You like that?
Yeah, I do. It's a broken spell.
More so than brain sap.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just because of the math on it. Like brain sap increases in damage, but it also
Sure.
increases in mana cost, like rapidly. Whereas in Feebles, same cooldown, same mana cost, and it scales very nicely. Especially, and that's part of the reason it owns Morphling. If you enfeeble Morph or LC or Monkey King, their heroes become garbage, and
Mm,
it just that again, like it just helps them win team fights. They've won the lanes already, and like just look at this game. You have a Yaps RET above here. Like we don't even need to watch the end of this game. Like they just won all the lanes. GG. Well played by Secret. Very strong team. I'd say at least top 5, probably top 3 right now. And we'll see how tomorrow plays out.
all right, cool. Thanks for doing this, Kyle. That was really
No
fun.
problem, buddy.
It was
Yeah, it
uh, it
was.
was very enlightening. I know everybody who's watching also feels the same.
I wouldn't say
Even
everybody.
even if we write some dumbass comments, it's like those will always be there.
Oh, I don't care, dude. Twitch chat's beyond saving. If people want to learn and get better, they will. If they want to just meme about the team losing, obviously losing because they lost, and the team winning won because they won, like that's just life.
You want to do this? You want to do this some more sometime?
Yeah, sure, man. It was fun.
All right.
I'm gonna take off the share screen.